This is Television Nigerian, a broadcast network committed to serving you the very best in online and offline television programming. Situated in the serene environment of Guzape, Abuja FCT, TVN, as it is fondly called, caters to a wide variety of audience via carefully orchestrated mind-blowing programs in the areas of fashion, business, politics, entertainment, religion, movies, food and health, culture and lifestyle, events around the globe, sports and foreign news. Whatever your inclination, we've got you completely covered with programs like Issues of the Moment, The Patriot, Daybreak Nigeria, Matter Africa, TVN Business Time, Healthy Living, From the Cradle, Stay Inspired, Entertainment Gist, Movie Hour, Hits Paradise, among others. All designed to keep you thoroughly informed, entertained, at the edge of your seats and yearning for more. A tour around our domain will reveal a highly dedicated staff force and a state-of-the-art facility and equipment for high-definition quality broadcast, making our station your #1 choice in advertising your business and propagating your ideas. We are currently on NightComSat doing our test transmission for takeoff in the nearest future. Television Nigerian is located in Nigeria at Television Nigerian House, Guzape Hilltop Mansion, beside Guzape White House, Guzape Abuja FCT, and in the United Kingdom at 45 Ancient House, 48 Aerodrome Road, Beaufort Park, Colindale, London. For inquiries,
wash your hands, be down, and I take the whistle. Don't touch your face, don't go to the doctor, just call, and I take the whistle.
As at April 26th, Nigeria Center for Disease Control (NCDC) announced 91 new cases of coronavirus in the country and bringing the total tally of confirmed cases to 1,273. Meanwhile, Kano is also plagued with unexplained number of deaths, which causes have not been identified yet, and the Kano state government claims these deaths are not related to COVID-19. Good morning and thank you for joining us today. I am Mercy Joe and with me is my colleague
Elvis Oga.
Good morning, Elvis.
Good morning.
How was the weekend?
It was okay. And yours?
The weekend was the weekend.
Okay, the show is Daybreak Africa on Television Nigeria. Don't forget to follow our live feed on www.tvn.news.
And don't forget you can subscribe to our YouTube channel at Television Nigeria, and you can stream us live on all our social media platforms at Television Nigeria. Elvis.
Yes.
Kaduna extending the lockdown by 30 more days. Exactly 1 month.
1 month.
And it's something to be shocked about. I think the government have fears that if they lift the lockdown, other states, like the boundaries, their neighboring states, including the FCT,
because
have
of the
rising
proximity.
cases.
Yes.
So immediately they're lifting their lockdown. There's fear that there might now be interstate traveling.
Yeah.
People may not now be coming in from other states to their own state. And there's panic and fear that if other people are coming into their state, there might be likelihood of increase in the spread of the virus.
If you go through the details of what the Kaduna State Governor actually put up yesterday when he was talking about extending the lockdown by 30 days, you see he took into consideration what you just mentioned, like rising cases in the country, and then with the lockdown being over, and then we get to see more interstate travel, and then more infections are likely to take place.
Exactly.
But I'm kind of, do I call it shock or surprise, because I know Kaduna State Governor is part of the Nigerian Governors Forum, and there is a decision they have reached from their last meeting, which was done electronically online, and we are hopeful that the president will address the nation very soon, and then he will tell us what the Nigerian Governors Forum has actually decided to do.
Yeah,
because we're getting wind of a still lockdown or a ban on interstate travel while relaxing the intrastate movement.
But I think that's not actually happening, because I think some people are actually still traveling
across states.
Yes, because I heard something yesterday.
Okay.
Someone was like, my friend came in from Kano yesterday.
Yeah.
And I looked, I was like, people are still traveling. How did they move? How were there no barricades? How were there nobody to stop them on the way to go back to wherever they were coming from?
Exactly. One serious case that we need to look at with the lockdown extensions for 30 months. I was actually on Instagram yesterday in the night, like early hours of this morning, and then so many celebrities were actually reacting to the lockdown. Erica precisely was like, 1 month subscription for Kaduna State residents.
The thing is that this recommendation was made by the committee for COVID-19 in Kaduna State. It wasn't just the decision of the governor alone. No. He actually had a meeting with them, and they came to a final conclusion that there are rising cases. This is not the best time to lift this lockdown. I
saw that part as well, but one may begin to wonder the economic implications of this, because the Nigerian Governors Forum and other economists are trying to look at, okay, if we continue with this lockdown, what is the economic implication? I saw Senate Minority Leader, Senator Abaribe, actually come out to talk about, okay, the rising speed of crime and other societal issues if this lockdown lasts.
I think for the full week, Wednesdays is permitted to be lockdown free.
Okay.
And different measures be taken for Wednesdays to be lockdown free. They use their face masks, maintain social distancing, washing of hands and use of sanitizers. So I think that's better than Wednesdays, but there's still fear. The day you're opening again for that week, shouldn't there still be fear that for that little hours that people still move around? What about those that do not know that they have the virus already and they're already carrying the virus?
Talking about the asymptomatic people.
Yes, see the case of the Borno persons that were confirmed positive for coronavirus.
Yes.
A 24-year-old boy and a 42-year-old woman. They both tested positive and they ran away. Now nobody is seeing them. Now those people go back to mingle with the society again.
I was actually talking about that with Susan before we came in, and she was like talking about the management of these cases, like people that are taken into isolation, how well are they being cared for?
Exactly. Because
some people are now looking at it like we are now beginning to see cases of stigmatization setting in, and the welfare of these people not looking to. We know about a country in Africa that, okay, if you tested positive, your isolation center is more like a very good hotel where you are taken into and you are being cared for adequately. We'll be talking about that as we proceed on the show.
So I think that's where the fear is coming in from. Probably that's why most of them are running away, because I do not see the reason why you see this ailment is really very serious and that's the time you need to run away. Then probably the government is getting something wrong, or the isolation centers are getting something wrong. There should be a picture that they have seen that is giving them this fear and worry not to stay there.
In this isolation center. Away from Kaduna State, all the way from Kano.
Yes, the unexplained
several cases
deaths.
of death from unexplained sources.
About 200 deaths in 1 week.
Was it Friday or Thursday? We were talking about 150 deaths recorded in Kano.
Now it's increased.
Like they are, in some quarters, they are projecting about they are talking about 600 plus cases.
643.
Yeah.
And the government is coming out to say, no, these people are not dying as a result of COVID-19. And the government, in a statement also that he made, said it's only 13 persons we have confirmed that have died over 1 week. From our own statistics and our own calculations. So we do not know what the people that are hitting to social media are talking about.
But as it stands right now, there are about 74 cases or confirmed cases of coronavirus in Kano. But the death that people are talking about, yes, truly, the death may not be practically out of COVID-19
Yeah, they're saying
infection.
malaria, malnutrition, high blood pressure. So we do not know what to really believe. And the problem now is that in Kano, once a person dies, you have to bury that person immediately. You cannot stay. So how do they even carry out autopsy on these bodies? Not possible.
To know
so how
the
can
cause
they
of this death.
exactly? So they can't even know. So my fear now is these persons that gather to go and bury these
them.
people. But what if, peradventure, among these supposed 200 cases that has not yet been really confirmed by the government?
Yes.
What if these 200 cases,
Maybe a few of
them actually died of the virus, and
the
lots
people
of
that
persons
gather to bury them.
exactly gather to bury them. Lots of persons have carried the body comfortably with their
their
bare
bare
hands. That means we should even be more scared for Kano State, because lots of diseases that come to Kano State, they have affiliated them with lack of good hygiene in the state.
A lot of report has been coming from Kano recently, and they have not been very good, especially regarding their health sector. Like
Exactly.
we've been talking about several deaths from unknown sources.
Even the healthcare workers, most of them that are on duty, are no longer there.
I was actually
They're running
coming to
away.
that because the testing center that was actually inaugurated by the NCDC was reportedly closed down because an official contracted the virus, and they had to close it down for about 48 hours so that fumigation can be done on the facility before they resume testing again. So
Even
that's one serious case
Yes.
that we're looking at from Kano. Kano was actually trending on Twitter yesterday, pray for Kano, and Nigerians were actually reacting from different angles, and they were calling out the state governor to be more proactive regarding
Even
this.
the Sadikin of Kano, that in the person of Alhaji Aminu Adobairo,
Yes.
claims and says he has gotten statements from the State Ministry of Health that these cases, these persons dying, are not as a result of COVID-19. But I find that quite contradicting, because these are the same persons that you cannot test at their death. You can't carry out autopsy on them to know what is the actual cause of their death.
And it's not all COVID-19 cases that show symptoms or manifest symptoms.
Exactly.
So you cannot tell.
So how, on what ground, on what proof are they telling us that these persons that have died didn't die as a result of COVID-19? I do not see the facts here. I just see statements.
When you made mention of autopsy, that's actually a good one. So a whole of investigation needed to be carried out.
Exactly.
In Kano.
But
to
how do
ascertain,
they carry out these
these
investigations when these dead persons supposedly are supposed to be buried immediately after
Like
death?
we keep talking about that desperate situations warrant desperate measures. So if it means maybe deviating away from the normal tradition of burying people immediately to go back and then keep these people for some autopsy to know, okay, what's actually causing this, then it will be fine, because we're actually showing concern about the way COVID-19 stories was flooding everywhere, and then people are now beginning to forget about several other things. We still have people dying from malaria. We had cases of Lassa fever springing up in some cases in some part of the continent or even in the country. And then talking about diabetes and other ailment, we should not be so concerned about the COVID-19 and then forget that, okay, we have other burning issues or pressing needs at hand before the outbreak of the pandemic.
The worrisome issue in Kano has also dragged the PDP into it and the APC. The PDP are saying that the president needs to make an awareness visit to Kano to see the situation on ground by himself. And the APC also came out and said, this looks fishy. This statement by the PDP wanting the president to go by himself to Kano State to check what's going on.
It is not always right when we try to play politics with everything. This is not the moment for us
It's not the time.
To just maybe bank on our political leanings or any type of or sentiments at all. We just need to come together as human race or as an entity to fight this deadly pandemic. Because if you are saying president should go to Kano, I know that there's some level of peculiarity with the case in Kano. But maybe what happens when, okay, other states we start bringing issues. Okay, we also have quite a number of cases that demands president issue, and president is actually a human being too. And we've seen how world leaders have been trying not to mingle physically. We've been seeing a series of meetings online.
So why should it be now that you're thinking that the president should personally calm down when it wasn't a terrorism case or something? This is a disease. This is a sickness killing thousands and millions of people. So why should he come personally?
What one need actually was looking out for people to suggest is maybe for more desperate measures like handing out palliatives or more and taking more stronger views or standpoint regarding treatment of disease.
Ganduje actually came out and cried out to the government to give him 15 billion naira to help for the healthcare services because they are lacking facilities in their hospitals to contain this disease.
We're actually taking.
And later on,
yes,
he's still coming out and no, we don't have those cases of deaths in Kano. This is. Let me quickly take some comments from some residents in Kano State. This one is from Abdulaziz Musa. He says, "Why is it that our government officials are full of lies and propaganda? This your lies cannot stop people from dying when their time reach, and it's very true that people are dying in Kano within these days. These are shameless people who don't fear Allah."
that was a hard tackle.
That was really. Let me quickly take this one by Mukhtar. He said, "It's not rumor, but true. I am an eyewitness of this. My uncle died and buried in Bulukia graveyard. While entering the graveyard, we saw different people who buried their loved ones." This one is from Abdul Basir. "The mass death is not a rumor."
It's not a rumor.
It's not rumor.
Like everybody is trying to acknowledge that fact, but what is the cause of this death? Is what Nigerians are trying to look into.
Because if the governor of Kano keeps trying to cover up this death, saying there are no deaths, people on the graveyards have been saying in a day we can bury at least 5 persons. But in the last 1 week, we have been seeing cases of burying more than 15 people in a day.
We saw pictures flying on the net as well.
So what is the government saying about this?
I think the basic problem here is not the government not admitting the fact that there are multiple deaths, but it's the cause of the death that is the little bone of contention there.
I think there are 2 problems here. The government not owing up to what is actually happening, telling the people the truth. You're giving us a figure of about 13, and your residents can tally up to 200 or
even
this
more.
supposed 600,
plus.
and the government is saying 13. Now, no cause of the death is yet known. They're just coming out to tell us that probably malnutrition, diabetes, it's mostly to the poor persons. I mean, I saw on news yesterday where a professor died mysteriously as well. And can't they hold the dead bodies and say we have to take autopsy of these dead bodies to be sure we are not dealing with COVID-19 death cases, so that we'll know that if the death cases in Nigeria have actually escalated already?
That's quite a very valid point, because I think the transmission mode of the COVID-19 in the country now has moved from imported transmission to community transmission. That's what we've been witnessing. So if we have people going
and this was the fear.
Exactly.
This was really the fear.
So if you have people going about touching dead bodies of people from unknown sources with this, what not happen if actually these people died of coronavirus or the pandemic?
Okay. This is the Daybreak Africa here on television Nigeria. Let's join Susan Archie on the news desk.
corona. Kisisiza, ukwele mi corona.
Don't panic, we've got this.
Good morning and welcome to AM News. My name is Susan Achin. Nigeria on Sunday recorded 91 new cases of the novel coronavirus, bringing the country's total infections to 1,273, according to the Nigeria Center for Disease Control and CDC. According to the NCDC in a tweet via its official handle, 43 of the new infections were recorded in Lagos, 8 in Sokoto and 6 in Taraba. The country's total deaths from the virus now stands at 40, while 239 have recovered. The Sarkin Kano Alhaji Aminu Adobayero has confirmed that the mass deaths reported in Kano State of Nigeria were not from COVID-19, as some have alleged. In a statement on Sunday, the Sarkin noted that he was informed by the state's Ministry of Health that the mysterious deaths earlier recorded in Kano State were not as a result of COVID-19 outbreak. He prayed for the repose, asking Allah that their souls may be forgiven. Now, two patients, Abbas Kaka, a 24-year-old male, and Hawa Muhammad, a 42-year-old female, are on the run after testing positive to COVID-19 at the Maiduguri Teaching Hospital in Borno State. The male is of Layin Tanki Gwange, 11, while the woman lives in Shuwari Ward. While briefing journalists, the Commissioner of Health and Secretary to the State Response Team for the Prevention and Control of COVID-19, Dr. Salisu Kwayabura, confirmed this on Sunday at the government's house in Maiduguri. Kwayabura said the male patient was on an initial telephone contact with the response team after his sample was collected, but eventually switched off his phone when he tested positive. Now we'll move on to South Africa, where a medical team was received on Sunday from Cuba to help health officials treat COVID-19 patients. The 217 healthcare professionals include nurses, doctors, epidemiologists, and technical experts. The largest contingent has been deployed to Johannesburg and Cape Town, and Cuban officials say the large team sent to South Africa will bring much-needed support and health expertise to a health system struggling to contain and treat an increasing number of COVID-19 patients. Over 4,300 COVID-19 cases have been registered in South Africa, with 86 fatalities. Ghana's President Nana Akufo-Addo has extended the ban on public gathering by 2 more weeks to contain the spread of coronavirus. The directive came into effect at 1 o'clock local time on Monday. Last week, the president lifted a 3-week lockdown that had been imposed on various parts of the country. Schools and borders remain closed, and the president has urged all Muslims to pray at home during the month of Ramadan. The country has confirmed 1,550 coronavirus cases and 11 deaths, while 155 patients have recovered from the virus. Now moving on to the world of business, Rwanda's national carrier, Rwanda Air, has announced that it will cut the net salaries of its employees by between 8% and by 65% as it seeks to deal with the effects of coronavirus pandemic. In a memo to its staff, Rwandan S said the decision was made to avoid laying off staff. It has also extended the suspension of contracts for pilots and non-essential staff until further notice. Lastly, and on the entertainment scene, Nigerian singer Niniola Akpata, popularly known as Niniola, has received a Grammy certificate in recognition of her participation as a composer on the Grammy Award-nominated recording in the song and the album The Lion King, The Gift by Beyoncé. The singer revealed the good news in a mail. And that's it on AM News. I am Susan Achin.
Good morning, Suzanne.
Good morning, Mercy. You look great. Good morning, Elvis.
You're not looking bad yourself.
She's looking like the elegant African lady.
Of course.
Yeah, thank you for those wonderful updates.
You're welcome.
South Africa receiving medical personnel from Cuba to treat coronavirus. And we saw the noise and all of that when Nigeria took similar stand, receiving medical personnel from China. And then we were talking about when President Muhammadu Buhari was giving that champion for COVID-19 response in Africa. And we're now looking at if other African countries are seeing what we cannot see in our president. Because now South Africa adopting this model is one thing we need to look into.
Yes, I feel like this is the time where everybody has to just drop down from their high horses. And the issue here is that we have a pandemic at hand that is fast eating into the fabric of, the human race. And if it means that we'll be receiving assistance, then we have to open our hands. I mean, Africa, we kind of have that backwardness when it comes to infrastructure and when it comes to handling things like this. So I feel like if Cuba has decided to offer assistance to South Africa, then it should be a welcome, we should welcome it. But I still feel like we should be cautious anyways.
Exactly. I want to look at it if that's actually indicate the stand of our president when he actually brought in those people, because they were looking at how legit or how legal it is for people to come from another country and then enter a sovereign nation and then carry out medical practices.
I just personally feel that anything that we need, if we need other persons to come to our country to give us help, at that point in time, we shouldn't be biased in our minds or sense of reasoning. We should think elsewhere. We should just think about the positivity in their coming.
But it's funny that the health sector in Nigeria was actually, they actually said they felt incompetent. They felt the government was making them feel incompetent. By bringing in people. But I feel that if these kind of things are going to happen, like she was saying earlier on in the show, that the governor of Kaduna State actually discussed, with the committee before he made it. So I feel like they should discuss with the health experts. Then if it's good, then they can all take it up together.
The 4,300 cases now recorded in South Africa. We talked about this last week, and I said something about we are not praying for bad, but should relaxing the lockdown really be the problem now? Of a case of now 4,300
over that.
Should that really be the case now? Relaxing the lockdown? I don't feel that's the case right now.
I feel that they will actually take dressing from this, and that is the reason why they're accepting assistance from other places.
Even Ghana, who actually relaxed the lockdown, is beginning to.
They're making it more strict again because I mean, at the end of the day, it's about us and it's about staying alive. So we'll now join Josephine Paul for news across Africa.
This is News Across Africa on Daybreak Africa. Tensions flared in Somalia over the weekend, causing angry protesters to burn tires and demand justice. Confinement and travel restrictions against the coronavirus are proving extremely difficult to enforce. Residents are giving security officers a hard time, and the reactions from security forces have infuriated the population who are opposed to preventive measures against the virus. A police officer in Mogadishu was arrested for shooting at least one civilian while he was enforcing restrictions over the pandemic.
This demonstration will continue until the government's senior officials listen to the outcry of the population. We want the government to reverse the curfew decision that is imposed on the residents during this holy month.
South Africa on Sunday received a medical team from Cuba to help health officials treat COVID-19 patients. The 217 healthcare professionals include doctors, nurses, epidemiologists, and technical experts. The largest contingent has been deployed to Johannesburg and Cape Town. Cuban officials say the large team sent to South Africa will bring much needed support and expertise to health systems struggling to contain and treat an increasing number of COVID-19 patients. Cuba is dealing with its own virus outbreak, but according to officials, measures to contain COVID-19 are showing signs of success even as the number of cases continue to grow.
More than 12,000 people were willing to fight Ebola, and right now there are thousands of Cubans willing to complete these missions.
Kenyan laboratories on the front line in the fight against coronavirus are stepping up their preparedness. At the Cambridge Medical Research Institute in the capital, Nairobi, researchers are tracking the virus with a range of newer equipment. They are preparing samples and machines capable of testing several thousands of people in a day. Faster and more secure machine detections have accelerated daily testing. Kenya, which recently launched a major anti-COVID-19 testing campaign, hopes to carry out nearly 250,000 tests by June.
So, the beauty about the equipment is a high-throughput equipment, which is able to test up to 960 samples in an 8-hour shift.
Months after Guinea-Bissau disputed presidential election, leaders in the West Africa bloc ECOWAS have acknowledged the victory of Umaru Embalo. In a statement released on Tuesday, the Economic Community of West African States said the decision followed a thorough analysis of the political situation in the country. The development signifies a diplomatic victory for Sissoko Embalo, who had organized his own investiture at the end of February and moved to the presidential palace with the support of the country's military. However, ECOWAS has asked Embalo to appoint a new prime minister and a new government by 22nd of May at the latest, in accordance with the Guinea-Bissau constitution. At least 17 people, including 12 rangers, were killed on Friday in an attack in Virunga National Park, a UNESCO World Heritage Site in the restive east of the Democratic Republic of Congo, park authorities said. Beside the 12 park rangers, a driver and 4 other civilians were killed in the attack, which park authorities have attributed to a Rwanda rebel group. Virunga National Park is spread more than 7,800 square kilometers over the borders of the DRC, Rwanda, and Uganda. The park is home to a world-famous population of mountain gorillas, but has been hit by rising instability and violence. That is all on News Across Africa. Daybreak Africa continues shortly. I am Josephine Paul.
Yes. Right.
That was News Across Africa by Josephine Paul. Let's go to the newspaper reviews now. For the Nation's newspaper, the headlines: uncertainty over lockdown as Nigerians await decision. Below that, we have Buhari meets Health Minister and CDC DG. Test kit shortage hits Nigeria.
Test kit shortage hits Nigeria.
I think we all saw that coming.
Yes. We saw that coming and we're trying to talk about or look into it, and now we're seeing practical reality here. So what Nigeria should be looking at now, it's the way forward regarding this. Meanwhile, we have Victor, who is here, and we'll be talking about this thing together.
Yes.
Mr. Victor.
Yeah, good morning.
Morning.
That sector hit with shortage of testing kits.
That's unfortunate. We saw a tweet from the DG of the NCDC 2 days ago coming out to say that the country is in need, that they need a lot of RNA testing kits, and anybody who can find a solution to that or has more to supply should actually come forward. And late last night, he also tweeted an update that he's very grateful to people that have been in touch to try to find a solution. But then it's actually quite unfortunate because that happened at the time that Senegal is actually making trends. Senegal and Madagascar making trends. You know, like in Senegal when you spoke earlier.
Yeah, trying to test everybody.
Yes, they're trying to test everybody, and in fact, presently
fabricating a $1
test kit, making it cheap, and then ventilators as well. They are just producing ventilators that are very affordable. They don't need to import ventilators. So when that's when Nigerians are looking at this, they're putting it side by side and looking like, okay, what is it that the Giant Africa is doing that a little Senegal is doing better.
Yes.
Okay, away from that, let's take a look at the Daily Trust to see headlines we have from the publication. Pressure mounts on Buhari to relax restrictions. Let economic activities go on, NLC. It's dangerous to allow people move around. That is coming from doctors. Talks on reopening economy ongoing, coming from federal government. Expert chart way forward. Business owners fear economy may collapse. So we came from that angle when we saw that Kaduna State Governor extended lockdown by 30 days, and we're looking at the economic implications. And now expert coming from that angle as well, Victor.
Yes, definitely. I think those who say this lockdown should be relaxed, they are mostly speaking from the kind of economic point of view, because we know how this one has been so far. Since there has been the lockdown, then there has been no economic activities going on. A lot has been losing. Nigeria itself has been losing money. So our lesson revenue, lesson generation or getting has dropped by over 50%. You know,
it's going to go a long way.
Yes, and then if you look at just last week, FRS came out to ask people to pay their tax, including the less than telecom companies and supermarket, because they believe that people that despite the lockdown they are making a lot of money. You know, more people are buying data now and airtime basically. So they are just looking like people should pay for their existing taxes.
Okay, this is still Daybreak Africa on Television Nigeria. We'll go on a quick break. We'll be right back. Please stay tuned.
Coronavirus, oh Lord, we don't want coronavirus. Coronavirus,
oh God, hear our cry, for you hold the key to our lives.
Coronavirus, coronavirus, oh Lord, we don't want coronavirus. Oh Lord, we don't want coronavirus. Coronavirus. Jesus, anya chori, yabu coronavirus. Coronavirus. Oh yeah, corona. Oh Lord, we don't want coronavirus. 'Cause you want keke na juno, une weli wezanu yao. Onabonyeru choro na Abuja oje Lagos na Tugwa mba manya gara na ndị nguru ha webube ndị na-eme nkili ịhụla na ndị na-esi igwe si chala igbo isi gbaka ndị nyuru isi keduzi ka akwa na ndị China tara si gbasa anyị Chineke biko ịgwara m na akwụkwọ nsọ na ọrịa ndị Egypt abụrụ oke anyị ndị China tachaganu o anyị pụta kwabalụ ha aka biko ihe onye ma ya malụ ya na nke anyị na-amaghị agaghị ama anyị o ikwere m nkwa n'ọrịa na-efe efe na ọ bụghị oke anyị o n'ọrịa na-egbu ndị ọzọ ọ bụghị maka ndị kwere kwe otu aka ọ dị wezụgara anyị o ya bụ coronavirus biko onye nwa na anya amaghị ka anya ọrịa si wee bido ekwekwala ka o gbuo anyị o anyị narịọ gị na amara m ihe bụ na ịfụ nwanne gị na ya bụzi ekwepụ.
Welcome back. This is still Daybreak Africa here on Television Nigeria. We're still on the newspaper reviews and we're going to the Punch newspaper. For the headline, Coronavirus, Nigeria desperately looking for test kits, say NCDC. Below that, we have South Africa test 161,000, Ghana 100,622, Egypt 90,000, Nigeria 10,060. Kano serial deaths continue. BUK professor dies. I think we talked about that.
Yeah,
I was saying that if they're saying is the vulnerable that are actually still dying.
How about the professor?
How about the professors that are dying?
Another story that actually caught my attention from the publication is different African countries testing up to that big number, and then Nigeria still within 10,000.
Yes.
And then it gave me a concern when Victor was talking about what are these other African countries getting that the giant of Africa is not getting.
But then we just have to realize that when you hear of those large numbers of 160,000, 100,000 testing in South Africa and Ghana, okay, let's take Ghana for example. When you see that they have tested 100,000 people, in reality, they have not tested uniquely 1,000 people. What they do is pulling testing. They do so. What that pulling testing means is that if they have like 1,000 people, or let's say 100 people to test, what they do is they group them in 10-10.
Okay.
In a group of 10.
More like
so
sampling.
yeah, so they take their samples, mix them together, then do the testing. If it comes out positive, then they go back and test each individual one.
Okay.
But then if it comes out negative, it means those 10 people are free from the virus.
And they move on to the next one.
Yes, they move on to the next one. So that is why they're looking at that. So in reality, they haven't really done up to 100,000 tests, which also goes for South Africa as well.
But in any country, would the test kits really be enough to test all of their citizens?
Well, it shouldn't be enough because even the US also lack test kits more because the thing is you can't continue. That's why they keep producing. That is what what they call it. Senegal is doing $1 test kit, so it means that you can work in, work out, and then you are tested and you're done.
When you talk about US actually running short of the test kit, that reminds me where I saw in the news recently that pharmaceutical stores are allowed to be carrying out this test these days, and then even China, that we know that they have some bragging right when it comes to production of this equipment to an extent. They ran out of this test kit at some point, and then they had to resort to Japan and other countries.
And then right now China is actually exporting test kits to other countries. And then when you look at the countries that they're actually exporting test kits to, they are not third world countries or second world countries. They're also first world countries like Germany, Spain, Italy, Scotland. And then you wonder, these first world countries, don't they have scientists enough? Don't they have these scientists enough that could actually come up with
the test kits
and masks and all of that instead of depending on China.
Okay, away from that, from the Guardian newspaper, the banner headline we have says a confusion over federal government's rice palliative for Southwest. Below that, Kano COVID-19 center remains short and strange deaths continue. That's beside the picture story, talking about Kano State shutting down their testing center, even though there are multiple deaths being recorded in the state.
Yeah, but those deaths so far, according to the government, they are not linked to this COVID-19. There is something else, and I think right now they actually came out to say that it's from acute malaria, diabetes, and hypertension. And then you wonder that how come a large number of people are having the same illness at the same time.
Mysteriously.
All of a sudden, yeah. So on Sunday, on Saturday rather, they lost about 26 prominent people in Ghana, and then before then they had about over 30 people that died. So the deaths from that particular illness keep increasing, and then you wonder how come? Where has this IQ, diabetes, hypertension,
being all this while,
being all this while, that all of a sudden is hitting the people. And then why is it, you know, like these are not common sicknesses that can just get onto everybody, that you get to lose thousands of people. And then we also look at the federal government's rise, this in palliative being an issue. I think it actually started from Oyo State, where the state government rejected over 1,800 bags of rice that were donated to the state as palliative by the federal government because the food were infested with weevils.
Yes.
And
I mean, pictures came up online on social media for that. I saw that.
But then again, you know, there were also talk of saying that it is a listen political gimmick from the Oyo State governor to score cheap political points. But then other people are wondering who would want to eat rice that is infested with weevils and all of that.
How do they cook it?
How do they cook it? But some people say it is not harmful, so you can eat it up. Other people eat it. I was like, well, if it's beans, for example, it's actually understandable. For rice, I don't know about that.
These are some of the storage challenges we've been having from the agricultural sector. So subsequently, we hope that after COVID-19, some of this will be looked into. Like we've been talking about,
it's a problem of storage.
The world will not be the same after COVID-19. So some of those things are being exposed, and then we need to look into them.
Okay, moving to the Daily Times newspaper. And the headlines: Kano government opens up on strange deaths. Below that says mystery behind the occurrence will soon be unraveled. PDP demands probe calls for presidential visit. Group gives federal government, Kano government 7-day ultimatum to explain causes of strange deaths.
Nigerians are actually patiently waiting for the mystery to be unraveled, just like they have said. So Nigerians are waiting.
I don't think the mystery will be unraveled more than the government coming to say there has just been 13 deaths recorded.
13 deaths from the, you know.
Yes, that's what the government claims.
Maybe those are official figures, but unofficial figures, we know they're actually more than that, because Saturday alone, about 26 people. So that is times 2 of the 13 deaths they are actually talking about.
And then after then we had cases of about 30 again.
Yes, more so the case has always been like that. And you know, there is this other NGO in Kano State that wanted to carry out the investigation, understand what the problem is. Yes, but then at the end they came out and said by the time the missing figures just kept mounting, they had to run out of they lacked the capacity to continue because the missing cases were more. So at this moment it's trying to find a solution. But then the group coming out to give Kano State 7 days ultimatum to, I think the government has already said it's caused from diabetes, hypertension and malaria. So I think the government has explained itself. They don't need
and then we see PDP again trying to probe the president to pay a visit to Kano concerning the issue.
Well, some people look at that statement and they think that it is senseless. It doesn't make sense anyway. And I just want to believe that it doesn't also really. I think that's the statement that really makes sense. Okay, let me just say at this point,
really needed.
Because at this point, when you look at the president falls under that category of people that are very vulnerable, that shouldn't be exposed a lot. So at this moment, I think the president don't need to be traveling places because
he also has his own outstanding health issues.
Yeah, and then again, they also have to look at the fact that even when we didn't have this kind of issues and when we didn't have anything to fear, the president wasn't really about visiting states with this kind of situation or war situation. So not like when we now have this situation, you're not asking the president to make this kind of travels. We should know that that's not happening.
Okay, away from that, from the Daily Sun, the banner headline we have here is COVID-19 fears as Prof. 3 others die in Kano. That is the banner headline. And PDP demands investigation. We are probing death. That is coming from state government. Our members not safe. A cry from Nigerian Medical Association. Our members not safe. Talking about how well these medical personnel are being catered for, are being cared for regarding their upfront with the battle against COVID-19.
And they also look at the fact that most of them don't have the PPE gear when going, so they are not adequately protected. And you see that one of the most exposed people are the health workers. Last week we had about 40 health workers
being infected in Lagos State.
And all of that. And then it is not just only Nigeria, it's happened in other parts of the world as well, where health workers have always been at the receiving end.
Okay, in Business Day newspaper, for the headlines, what 1.4 trillion naira CRR deduction by CBN means for bank. Beside that, we have BUK professor joins growing list of high-profile deaths in Kano State. I think this deaths in Kano is topping all headlines.
All headlines
this morning. It's a cause for alarm. The government needs more explanation because lots of people are waiting to hear from the government. We can't talk about this enough. This has been Newspaper Review, where this is still Daybreak Africa here on Television Nigeria. Let's go on a quick break, and when we come back, we'll be talking about how other countries in Africa have been handling the coronavirus pandemic, and with Senegal in focus.
Welcome back. It's still Daybreak Africa on Television Nigeria. Before we went on that break, we told you we'll be looking at the response of African countries as regards COVID-19 with Senegal in focus. A lot of African countries have been doing a lot to battle COVID-19, and Senegal is making headlines seriously this morning because of the way they have been able to use their experience with Ebola and HIV/AIDS
to tackle this pandemic.
Yes.
Seeing that Senegal is not even the giant of Africa, people are wondering how they are able to handle and tackle the coronavirus pandemic.
When God wants to bless you, there's way the thing happens. It got to a point we saw how Akon has actually lighted up Senegal, like going into energy project, providing electricity to an extent, and then getting it right to an extent with COVID-19 again.
$1 per kit for persons, and they are testing almost everybody in Senegal.
And then when you are infected, what they do is that they take you to a very comfortable place where you will not have cases of people running away because they are well cared for.
Not like for no cases.
Yes. And then Madagascar actually coming out to say they have found a possible cure for COVID-19, even though the World Health is still telling people to exercise on patients regarding the usage. And then Senegal actually been treating people with chloroquine, and when the World Health Organization came out to tackle them, they said they have seen a very drastic improvement with people that have been treated with this, and then they are not relaxing with it anytime soon.
I think instead of Nigerians actually trying to employ the services of outside countries like China and the rest, probably they should go to Senegal and invite them to give them more talks on how they are handling their cases.
Actually, we need to look into all of this because there were actually, do I call it, advice from some well-meaning Nigeria, especially looking at the economic implication of this lockdown and how well we've been trying to tackle this, owing to our own terrain instead of copying the Western world.
Exactly.
But time will not permit us to talk about that on the show today.
Yes. This has been Daybreak Africa. It's been a lovely time here. My name is Mercy Joe. Remember, you can always subscribe to our YouTube channel at Television Nigeria and follow us on all our social media platforms at Television Nigeria.
My name is Elvis Oga, and I'd like to say a very big thank you for riding with us. Let's do this again tomorrow.